Let's talk about okra. I've got a heap of okra planted, and we've been picking a lot of okra around here. Although it's been dry, hasn't rained in a couple months, and it's been hot, the okra has been the one thing that has kept on producing. If this is your first time on our channel, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button down below so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. If you're a frequent viewer of our channel, it's always good to have you back. So I've got two plots with okra in them, and this is one of the plots in the dream garden. This is a 30 by 35 plot, and this plot is completely filled with okra. I've got 10 rows here on 3-foot spacing. You might have seen the video we did back in the summer where we planted this okra. We direct seeded it with our Hoss garden seeder, using that row marker to mark the next row to get everything nice and evenly spaced. So this is the jambalaya variety, and those plants might look a little pitiful to you, but this stuff has been producing like crazy. So this okra here needs picking this morning, and we can see there sometimes we get just one pod at the top, but for the most part every time we pick it, we're picking 3 to 4 pods of okra at the top. So this is a really productive variety, and we get a lot of okra off this little patch here. Now when the okra's young and tender, I'll take some pruners or take my little handy twine knife and come in and cut this stuff. But once the plants get kind of tough and get mature, we can just come in here and we just snap it off like that. So we'll just kind of yank it off or snap it off, and it doesn't hurt the plant at all, and it makes for quick harvesting. We can just come in here, grab all those off, and we still get more flowers producing at the top. These stalks will continue to grow upwards. They just keep making more and more okra. Now if you're going to be picking a lot of okra, you got to have you one of these over the shoulder harvest buckets here. These things make it really easy because you can pick with both hands. You can basically get your okra in half the time because you're using both hands instead of one. You don't have to carry a bucket with one hand and pick with the other hand. So these things are a huge time saver. They're comfortable, they're ergonomic, and they just make it easy to pick okra and pick a lot of other things in the vegetable garden too. Now I don't have any of this okra here behind me, or any of the okra I have planted for that matter, on drip irrigation. I've just been overhead watering it. Now the one upside to this really hot and dry weather we've been having is that I've been able to control my okra picking schedule better. Now if we've been getting a lot of rainfall, I probably have to pick this okra every other day. But since it's being hot and it's been dry and I've been having to overhead water this stuff, I can basically control how often I want to pick it. Now things have been busy around here, and so I really only have time to pick it twice a week. So I pick it on Sunday and I pick it on Wednesday. And so I've been giving it just enough water so that I can pick it 2 times a week. If I wanted to pick it more often, I could certainly put more water on it. So I've just been overhead watering it a couple times a week for about 2 to 3 hours, and that makes enough production to need to pick it twice a week. If I wanted to pick it more often, I'd water it every other day or so. So it's been nice that I can kind of control that okra production, just basically keep these plants barely surviving but still producing a good amount of okra for those pickings twice a week. Now as far as pruning okra goes, I've went back and forth on this many times over the years. Earlier this year I was pruning okra, and then this planting here, I haven't done anything to it. I haven't pruned it at all. You do get a little production on these side shoots here, like we see right there. And from what I can tell, you just make more okra when you don't prune it. Now, it is easier to harvest. If you prune those side leaves, it's easier to get in there and pick it. But if you're going for maximal production, I would say don't prune it. So it's up to you. If you've got plenty of okra plants that are going to produce enough and you just want easier harvesting, go for it. Prune those bottom limbs. If you want to get as much okra as you can from your plants, I would say don't touch them. Another thing about this okra patch here is that I've had almost hardly no weed pressure in here. These plants have just kind of shaded out this area. I haven't touched this with the wheel hoe in months. As you can see there might be one or two little weeds in there, but there's really not any weed pressure at all. So this plot here has been pretty maintenance free once I got this okra up and going. Alright, so right here in this kind of long skinny plot, we've got 2 rows, still jambalaya. And these we transplanted. We transplanted these a few weeks before we direct seeded that other plot. So these are a little bigger and they're almost getting just too tall to pick. I have to come in here and grab this stalk here and kind of lean it down so I can pick that okra. And it won't be too long before it just gets too tall to pick. Now this plot right here, I would say these plants have been a little more productive than those others, probably because I've just been having to give these more water because I've got some cucumbers on the other side of them. But I want you to look at these okra stalks and how big they are. And look at that guy right there. That's like a tree trunk. And these things have just been continually producing, just never failing me. But I don't know what I'm going to do about them getting so tall. So it doesn't look like we're going to have a frost anytime soon. So this okra is just going to keep growing and growing. And I really can't cut it down because those trunks or those stalks are just too thick. Usually I would take loppers in there and cut them at the base of the plant when I was done with the okra, but these guys, you can't get loppers around those trunks. I'd have to have a chainsaw. Now when the frost comes, it will kind of make those stalks real nice and pliable and you can then cut them pretty easily. But these guys, I'm not going to be able to cut these. You couldn't even take a bush hog in here and cut these down. They're so thick, they're like trees. So I really don't know what to do. I've heard of people in the past going and basically cutting the okra, cutting the tops off the okra and then going for more lateral production there. If you've done that, let me know. How does that work? What do you do when your okra gets too tall but you don't want to get rid of it and you still want to make okra? Do you just cut that apical meristem and then just go with lateral production there? How do you handle that situation? Either way, I'm going to have to do something. I'm not getting on a ladder to pick okra, but I'm also not going to get a chainsaw out here and cut all these stalks down. So I've got to figure out something to do so I can keep my okra production going, but so that I can actually reach up there and pick it. Let's switch gears for a second and talk about okra from a market farming perspective. So me and my wife do have a little small market farm operation where we sell some of the vegetables we grow here on my farm. Now the key to any market farming operation is having the market or the demand for the product. It doesn't matter how good you are at growing it. If you can't sell it, it's no good. But let's assume you did have a demand for okra like we have had this year. So like I said earlier, I pick this okra twice a week. Probably takes me about an hour to pick and pack all this okra. So I've got 10 30-foot rows on the other plot, so that's 300 row feet, and then here I've got 2 60-foot rows, so that's 420 row feet total of okra. I pick it twice a week. Every time I pick it, I'm getting about, let's just say on average, 20 pounds of okra. Okay, we bag that okra in 1 pound bags, and then we can sell those bags for $5 a piece. You can figure up, you could easily make a couple $100 a week just on selling okra. So if you do the math there at $5 a pound, you can do pretty good on a small plot of okra. You know, around 1,000 square feet or a little more. You can grow a heap of okra and you can do pretty good as a small scale market farmer with just that much okra, picking it twice a week or whatever. So if you're wanting to get into market farming and you've got a market for okra, I would definitely suggest growing okra because it's one of those crops that's going to keep producing even through some adverse weather conditions where it may be dry and hot. One more note about something you can do to make sure your okra stays producing nicely. Towards the bottom here, you're always going to get some of these pods that get too big. And a lot of times you miss them when you're picking it because you're looking up, not looking down. So these big ones here, we just grab them and we just yank them off. And I just drop them on the ground. If you leave those on there, they're going to inhibit your production somewhat. So if you see those kind of big, tough pods on the bottom of the plant, we just yank them off. You don't even have to really cut them. The plant can handle. So just yank them off, throw them on the ground as you go along. And that'll make sure you still get optimal production there at the top of those plants. So whether you're a backyard gardener or a small-scale market farmer, okra is a great thing to have in your garden, no matter where you live. You can transplant it, you can direct seed it, and the great thing is it's just maintenance free. We don't ever fertilize this stuff. We just keep enough water on it, keep it surviving, keep those pods producing at the top, and we just get more and more okra every week. If you haven't had good luck growing okra and still have some questions about it, put those in the comments below and I'll be glad to answer them and try to help you out. If you're an experienced okra grower out there, let me know what I need to do about these plants getting too tall. I need to cut the tops off of them or just keep, pulling those limbs over and picking them until I can't do it anymore. Let me know what you think I should do here. I'll put some links below to our jambalaya okra, which I'm growing, and our other okra varieties. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time.